Witness the assembly of a new team to counter advanced technological threats when Cobra acquires Energon to upgrade its armies. Can Duke get his new recruits to function as a team in time for their first mission? Let's find out in G.I. Joe #1 from Image Comics and Skybound. See you in 3. Welcome back to Comical Opinions. This is our review of G.I. Joe #1. I have to say, on the first pass, G.I. Joe #1 is, to put it nicely, perfectly okay. Readers who've bought into the interconnected Energon universe from Skybound will see the disparate characters coming together with a semi-classic cast of characters, both good and evil. At the same time, the presence of the Transformers continues to grow, but only in the background. That said, writer Joshua Williamson's first stab at the real American heroes doesn't quite live up to the Larry Hama counterpart, and the opener lacks any kind of wow factor. In short, it's fine, but it's forgettable. So let's jump right into the issue. G.I. Joe #1 begins with a combat skirmish in progress. Duke narrates the introduction of each of his team members as the Joes fly with jetpacks to defeat a swarm of armed combat drones. The fight concludes when Baroness, who was conscripted to join the team after she was forced to defect, reference Skybound's Duke miniseries for the background on how that happened, she nearly crashes due to a defect in her jetpack. G.I. Joe may be assembled, but they aren't yet a team. Joshua Williamson's opening fight is a smart way to introduce the team members individually and use efficiently placed data cards to highlight each Joe's talents, their civilian name, and what have you. Plus, Baroness's flameout highlights the potential for interpersonal conflict among the team members, which bodes well for more drama. Drama, in this case, is good. And if everybody gets together and everybody gets along and everybody functions like a well-oiled machine, it's kind of boring. You want the drama to create interest. In Springfield, which is the headquarters for Cobra, Destro unveils his latest weapon upgrade to Cobra Commander. When Energon is applied to a standard infantry rifle, the weapon becomes an energized laser rifle. Cobra Commander is wowed and thoroughly pleased. The entire Cobra Commander army is now upgraded beyond anything the Joes possess. Elsewhere, we catch up with Flint, maybe we think because the character is never named, as he arrives at an Abu Dhabi casino to confront a wealthy group of arms dealers. After a brief scuffle with the bodyguards, which Flint wins easily, of course, he warns the dealers not to sell to Mars Enterprises before he obeys an alert to return back to base. Williamson takes readers on a trip around the world to level set the goings-on of the assorted cast of characters who aren't in the mainline G.I. Joe team. Cobra continues to use Energon to make every upgrade imaginable in preparation for world domination, so that completely makes sense, and we see how far they've come. That said, it's unclear why the Abu Dhabi scene exists at all, because there's no apparent reason for it other than for Flint to show off that he's good at beating up bodyguards. Assuming, again, that is Flint, because he's never named. Back at the pit, which is G.I. Joe headquarters, Duke assembles the team to brief them on their very first mission assigned by Colonel Hawk. Military reports have confirmed a large section of tech belonging to the giant robots Duke encountered way back in Transformers #2 has crashed into the ocean. That big chunk of tech happens to be a chunk out of Cybertron, reference Transformers #12 for how that happened. And the team is tasked with safeguarding a retrieved chunk of the chunk for study. The issue concludes with the Joes playing offense against a Cobra assault in Colorado to claim the chunk of Cybertron for each side. Overall, G.I. Joe #1 is perfectly fine, is probably the best way we can put it. Joshua Williamson presents an oversized issue for a standard cover price, which is a cost-effective positive, right? You want more story for your money. But that said, the issue is mostly introductions and setups that don't tell you much you don't already know if you're already reading the Energon titles. And the plot just lacks any kind of wow factor or something to grab you. Let's switch gears and talk about the art for a second. We've crossed paths before with Tom Riley within multiple publishers, and it's fair to say Riley's style is consistently good. He has a solid handle on the iconic character designs with a slightly modern update, so that's a good thing. The action is well done, and the net look of the pencils and the inks is excellent. That said, Jordi Belair transferred the spectrum-shifted coloring application and harsh saturations used in DC's Birds of Prey title to this title, and the results are, to be frank, subpar. I've yet to encounter anyone who liked this coloring style on Birds of Prey, evident by the fact that DC doesn't use it anymore. So it's unclear why anyone thought it would be a good idea to apply this coloring style here. It's to be frank, it's just ugly. Since Ben Abernathy joined Skybound as an editor, he seems to have chosen to transfer the least good creative aspects from DC to Skybound to the imprint's detriment, and I wish Ben would stop. Let's take a step back and look at the big picture. Image already has an ongoing G.I. Joe title written by the great Larry Hama. Readers might be confused by how this comic connects to Hama's Real American Hero series, but rest assured the two titles have nothing to do with each other. The comic functions in a separate parallel universe, so in effect, never the twain shall meet. This is a completely separate title that has nothing to do with Real American Hero. Final thoughts, what do we think about G.I. Joe #1? It's a perfectly serviceable start to the Energon universe's version of the G.I. Joe team. Joshua Williamson leans heavily on introductions and setup, which existing Energon readers may find a bit redundant, but the setup works well enough. Tom Riley's art is rock solid, which is great, but it's hindered by Jordi Belaire's off-putting coloring style. Therefore, G.I. Joe #1 earns a 7 out of 10. This issue is perfectly okay, but it's not as good as Real American Hero, and on its own merits, it just won't grab you. But what do you think? How much or little do you want the Transformers to play a bigger part in this series? Leave a thumbs up if you found this review helpful, and drop a comment below with which Energon title is your favorite so far. I'm betting, for most of you, Transformers will be the top answer. Also, remember to click on the link in the description to read the written review, check out the variant covers and preview pages, and buy this comic to help support the channel. Of course, your support is greatly appreciated. So thank you very much for joining, and stay tuned through the outro for more reviews just like this one.